us about what it feels like, what this whole experience has been like, getting your first PFL win.
Yeah, it was a long week. You know, it's a long camp. I got a lot of things going on, trying to get my new gym ready. So, like, everything that could go wrong has went wrong. Even when it came, one of my corners last minute didn't order his flight. So, like, he contacted me on Monday, like, hey, I need to get my flight. I'm like, if you ain't got your flight right now, let's not deal with it. So, like, everything that could have went wrong in the last couple months haven't went wrong, and I pushed through. We're here, we got the win, so it feels good.
Does that make the win even better when it?
It does. It does. You know, even with the holidays, missing time with the kids, missing time with the family, making those sacrifices in life, but to come out on top, you kind of pay it forward a little bit.
Can you talk to us about that first round? I mean, how do you recover from, almost getting knocked out while holding his fight? I mean, that was wild. What goes through your mind? How were you able to dig deep and come back and win that fight?
It's funny, like, when I fought Ian Heinisch, I did the same thing. Like, I'm really good at, like, running the pipe, and when guys against the cage, I'll drop down to a thing going high-legged, and guys start punching there now. They don't want to get taken down. You know, I guess guys don't want to go to the ground with me because they know, I'm probably going to keep him there for a little bit. So he started punching, caught him with some punches, yeah, and I had to recover quick.
Thank you.
And then Derek, right here, man. Congratulations, man. It's nice to see you back in the win column. So I know you're a betting man, and you were the underdog this fight, man. People were writing you off. So how does it feel to, like, prove to the public that I'm not done? I'm Derek Brunson, still here?
Yeah, for sure. I put in a lot of work. The biggest takeaway from this fight was to go a good 3 rounds, and at the end, I wasn't breathing hard. I wasn't tired. This is the first time in my career where I was super motivated to run, 10 to 15 miles per week, every single week for the last, 8 weeks. Before, from wrestling, the doctor's like, hey, maybe you should do strength and conditioning, other stuff instead of, doing so much road work. But, for me, in these high-level fights, you have to do road work. And so I really dedicated my time to that. Every morning I'm getting up, hitting the road and really pushing through with my cardio. So even though I didn't get to finish, I'm still pleased with, I was able to go 3-4 rounds. If I would have did that in my last 2 fights, I would have won those easily if you go and watch those fights, so.
And then also I want to touch on, you talk about the gym that you have, Brunson MMA and Fitness. As a fellow NC native, I really respect what you're doing because we don't really have a lot of gyms out in NC. And how does it feel really, because you're towards the tail end of your career, to kind of jump into that mentorship role for younger fighters?
Yeah, it feels good, I learned a lot of things by myself and on the fly that these guys train at my gym, they have no clue. And the stuff I hear them say is like, oh, I thought that when I was younger too, but I was way more ahead of you guys. So yeah, just kind of giving back and teaching these guys the way, and even when it comes to business, when it comes to entrepreneurship and stuff like that, I got guys that's fighting on a high level that I manage, and I'm teaching guys how to buy houses, stuff like that, instead of blowing all your money. Now you're fight to fight, so.
And then I got one more fun question. So I know you call yourself the Parlay King. You have a lot of fights now. What gets you more stressed out? Going into the octagon or sweating that last leg of the parlay?
You know what? I'll automatically assume that I'm going to lose my last leg of my parlay, so I don't even care anymore. I'm just like, oh, of course. It'll be like a team that averaged 60 points a game and they come out and drop 90 points that game, a college game. Or the ref calling a foul on every single play and the score just go up crazy. So yeah, I automatically assume I'm going to lose my parlay.
Love it. Make sure you post those locks on Twitter for NFL.
For sure.
Derek, what was the biggest difference from fighting in the PFL Smart Cage to fighting in the UFC like you've been for most of your career?
It felt good in there. They got these little things that tell how fast you punch, how many punches. I think that's pretty cool. It felt good just to be in there. I watched it on TV and to actually get that experience was good.
So you landed a big barrage of punches throughout most of the end of the first round. Do you think the fight should have been stopped at any point, or do you think he was actually still in there and still kicking?
Yeah, I think it should have been stopped, but it wasn't, so he proved that he could keep going. Also, I would like to be able to elbow there. I had to tell myself not to elbow. I'm like, oh, don't elbow, punch. He's tying up my arms.
1 or 2 in that exchange.
Yeah, possibly, but.
Awesome performance.
Derek, congratulations on your win. So obviously transition over to the PFL, and you naturally could be at 185, so obviously they have 185 division. Just talk to me about preparing yourself to go compete possibly in the 205 division.
Yeah, that's not cutting weight, which is always good. But with the acquisition of Bellator, the 85 is inevitable for them to have. So there's some options there. I guess going into the future, we'll see what happens. Jake Paul, he called me out a couple years ago, and now we're in the same promotion. So you never know. He liked the older guy, so I'm right here for him.
You talk about mentorship as well too, of course, younger fighters, teaching how to manage their money. houses and all that stuff. Talk to me, especially us in the African community. That's a big thing we're trying to learn about. So talk to me about mentoring these younger people about that.
Yeah, it's just for instance, I got a fighter, Vitor Petrino. I don't know if you guys heard of him. I managed him. I started managing him when he was 3-0. Now he's 10-0, 3-0 in the UFC. And after his first fight, I'm like, hey, buy a house. He bought a house. And then after that, I'm like, buy a car. He bought a car. So now he have all these things, so it's not stressful. Like, he don't have to fight. I'm like, you want to fight? Or he get a short notice fight, talk to his coaches. He's like, let's get a camp, you know. Whereas if a guy is not managing their money properly, they're like, oh, I got to fight because I spent all my money because it's not that much money and I just started my career. So, like, he's not having those type of problems because he knows how to manage his money, put money aside, not spend all his bonuses, buy houses, you know, so he's not stressing about stuff like that.
Now, Derek, with all that ground control you had, were you surprised that you couldn't get the finish? Because you were down there for a long time, and it seemed like you were looking for that punch, but it just wasn't there at the moment, and you didn't want to force it. Now, were you surprised at how long it took? Because it took, 15 minutes, right?
Yeah, for sure. Again, my debut, so I wanted to make sure that I get the win, you know. It was certain things that I could have went for. I tried to go for the twister late in the, I think, second round, whatever. So it was things I was trying to open up. You know, he's a short, stocky guy, so like it's hard to kind of like open him up. Only thing was with punches and stuff like that. I tried to get underneath that chin, but he was just like tucking his head. And I guess when you can't elbow, you're like, yeah, you can just kind of like trap the arms and, you know, kind of stall out the punches a little bit. But I think, you know, going forward, we'll definitely find a little bit more openings there.
Awesome, good.
Derek, now North Carolina MMA has been on the rise. Do you have any younger prospects that the world doesn't know much about that you want to give a shout out to, or you think is going to really thrive in the future?
Yeah, for sure. I got a kid that's been training with me since he was about 15, and he's 18, 19 now, and he's 1-0 as a pro. He's kind of like Roy McDonald, little short, beach-looking white guy that you probably think you'll whoop his ass, but like he's super tough, and I love the kid. He's been working hard, and he got a younger brother who's like 13, who's like really good with like amateur boxing, you know, the same thing. And so I got these guys coming up, and then I have a heavyweight prospect too. He's about 25 years old. He's 3-0 as a pro. So we got a couple guys out of North Carolina scene that haven't been heard up that's coming up.
Awesome. Congrats on the victory.
Derek, you got a lot going on in the background too with the fighters, training for this, a lot of entrepreneurial stuff. What else is happening for you entrepreneurially that we need to know about?
Well, the gym. So my gym is in the mall. So like right outside of my gym is Dillard's. You know, you got Shoe Carnival, like in a big like strip mall, whatever. So trying to get that ready, everything that could go wrong went wrong. When it comes to the HVAC, to the bathroom, to the mask, to the equipment. So just trying to manage that and everything else going on, you definitely got to be very organized. I kind of like tell my gym manager, you handle this, I'll deal with it when I get back. I'm going to trust that you make the best decisions while I'm not here, you know. So just got to kind of put people in their rightful spot.
Great, congrats.
What's up, Derek? Not pertaining to the gym, but pertaining to the fight week and the camp, you said that everything that could go wrong went wrong. How do you manage to stay like fully focused on the task at hand and overcome that adversity?
Yeah, you know, that's life. That's life, you know. Obstacles come up, things come up, so you got to keep pushing and trying to make the best of the situation. And that's been my whole life, you know. I was trying to make best of bad situations.
Mm-hmm. And the last one, you clearly have a lot left in the tank, but you've achieved so much in this sport. So I was wondering, when you and the UFC parted ways, was there any part of the thought process to call it a career, or did you feel like you still have more left to prove?
Well, no. So like me and the UFC parting ways, it wasn't they let me go. It was more of like I wasn't really finding much motivation over there in the fights. You know, I really wanted something new. So it was kind of like me asking for my release, and they granted. You know, again, I just needed a new scenery, a new goals, like something new to get me excited. Something that's going to make me want to get up and run 10 miles when I hate running. You know, so coming to PFL did it for me.
Derek Brunson.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, man.
Derek, one question. How would you see a potential fight against Bellator champion Johnny Eblen?
Johnny Eblen?
Yes.
Beat him up. Johnny Eblen's a tough guy, you know. I watched his fights, you know. I'm a guy who watches a lot of MMA, so I've seen him in the past. He's undefeated, I believe. So yeah, that's a nice challenge, you know. I don't see him beating me, but you know, I think it makes for a good fight. He's definitely a tough opponent. We'll have to break it down and see what's for the future.
Thank you very much.
I've just got one follow-up on the mall question. Do you have people just walking by and stopping and watching what you guys are doing in there? Is it open yet, I'm assuming?
We've been in the mall for like 5 years. We're just moving to another space in the mall, bigger
Okay.
space. So yeah, people come by and watch sparring, and people come sign up and stuff like that. So yeah, it's kind of cool.
Do you get the big fogged up windows in the mall?
No, so our windows don't fog. We kind of nicely ventilated, whatever. So our windows don't fog up. So we good. Yeah.
Thanks. Anyone else? All right.
All right, thank you
Thank
guys.
you.
All right.